So the model sees a time series of these transactions and be more precise about what happened in time. So that's something I'm really excited about. And yeah, there's more DeFi stuff we can make, we can build into our inference procedure. So yeah, challenges. What's hard going forward? We want a stronger inference signal, meaning what, from a first principles perspective, what is strong evidence that a wallet will will HODL? And something, to outsource to the community. Do you have ideas? Do you have telltale evidence that you use to tell if a wallet will HODL or not? Yeah, super curious. If you guys gave us great insights, we're excited about that. That'd be awesome. That'd be really cool. And then there's all kinds of things particular to different blockchains, different layer ones. So things like inner contract calls, treating staking and liquidity providers as holding, and mysterious movement of tokens are things we want to get a better handle on. So perhaps like a blockchain engineer or blockchain expert can give us more insights on that. Yeah, so that's kind of the end of it. Should we do Q&A, Daniel? Uh-oh, did I lose everyone?
No, you're still good, Leon.
Yep, I can still hear you, Leon.
Great. So that's all the content I have today.
All right, guys, let's, I don't know, Jack, maybe you can chime in here. I'm not sure what the right sort of protocol here is to invite questions from the community. All right, so we don't hear Jack here. Folks in the community, I believe that if you have questions, you can simply unmute, and we should be able to hear you. So, Leon, I'm not sure if people don't have questions or if there's just some issues with folks being able to speak. But if you could maybe elaborate a little bit about the future. And I don't mean specifically within this particular application, but maybe you can talk a little bit about how the work we're doing on an investor score could set us up to do work in other sectors. So, for example, gaming or lending, that kind of thing.
Thanks, Daniel. I think we are building this framework in a long-term perspective. So we're thinking of very good foundational engineering whose work can be carried over to all kinds of other tasks, inference applications related to Web3. So you mentioned gaming, something we can extend this functionality to are NFTs. Can we trace, can we predict something about the movement of NFTs across wallets? And the kind of data infrastructure we have in place can also service this kind of new applications. So we definitely have a head start, and we're building research insights all the time about how we should predict and analyze on-chain activities.
Excellent. Thanks, Leon. Folks in the community, any questions? And Jack, if you are back and you can kind of give us some guidance on how to, encourage questions or get folks to unmute or whatever the hang up might be, let's do that.
Dan, I adjusted the settings, so I'm not sure if it worked or not, but people should be able to unmute themselves now. But I do have a question for Leon. And my question is whether all the findings that we work on now for the Launchpad investor score, will those be able to be layered on top of the next products that we're building, or if each of these products is siloed?
So the short answer is we are building all the Lego parts that went into this framework will be reusable because they're modular, and we can, maybe we'll build new Lego pieces, but the bulk of the framework is adjustable to new use cases.
So what we're talking about right now, underpins whatever product development that we're working on.
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you, Leon.
Thank you. And we look at right now we have a Binance Live node set up. We can also we're looking at the Ethereum Live node. So after that's up, it's a matter of accumulating the Ethereum transactions and featurizing those at the wallet level. And then we want to do more work to tailor the inference to Ethereum. But the code that's there and the logic of, hey, build this model now and configure this model can be used right away on the Ethereum chain.
Hey, Leon, I hope I'm not interrupting you, but it looks like there is a community member that has a question, and he's got some trouble with his mic. He's asking specifically about scam tokens, but I think it's perhaps equally interesting to zoom out a bit further and just sort of talk about bad actors and malintent in general, because I think it's an area of crypto that's obviously a hot topic, right? Hacks are almost on a weekly basis, and one of the reasons why we're looking at an Oracle network for the delivery mechanism is to prevent any kind of exploit vectors and bad actors. Maybe you could talk a little bit about how you see this potentially affecting the ability to identify bad behavior on the chain and potentially scam tokens as the question has been posed.
Yeah. Is the asker referring to identifying scam projects, or how do we prevent bad actors who would use this application?
The question is more about can a model that is essentially looking to measure and qualify investor behaviors, can it be used, for example, to identify individual wallets that may have been up to no good? If you see a wallet that's got dozens of scam tokens in it, is that information that you think is useful in the inference process? And if so, how?
I think that's a very compelling question. As I think about it more just now, I think if we have case studies of notorious wallets and find traits that this wallet exhibit on chain, it wouldn't be that far of a stretch to provide like a scam score, up to no good score, for all wallets, depending on, are there archetypal scamming behavior particular to those wallets. So for example, if this wallet keeps on creating short-lived project contracts, I think that's pretty strong evidence that we should be suspicious of someone like this. And I'm sure there are all kinds of other behaviors that together can form this composite score. So I think, yeah, that sounds very interesting.
It's a really interesting idea to think about contract creation associated with wallets too. I think that's something that we haven't really talked a lot about internally, but that's a really interesting idea. And I think, at least from a very high level, to me, that just underscores the potential here. We're looking at qualifying the value of an investor almost primarily by their trading behaviors. But we've talked a lot about how investing is this sort of multifaceted activity in crypto. You can be a really sort of terrible financial investor and do an awful job at actually making money, but be an amazing supporter of the projects that you're invested in. And so it sort of begs the question, how do you qualify an investor like that? So I think that's a really provocative question. We only have a few minutes left, so probably not worth going any deeper. The asker also, another question. He says, how many transactions or events in a wallet do we believe are needed for this application to produce a prediction? And I know that's an incredibly loaded question, Lihan. So go ahead and give us your best answer on that.
So it's, we like to, it depends on how well do you want this application to perform. Meaning, if you want super precise estimates of holding time. So for example, in a previous iteration, we tried to estimate to the number of days how long this wallet would hold. That's a regression task. If you want a higher level of performance or preciseness, then the more data and the more behavior we observe about this wallet, the better. So we do filter wallets that have less than, I think, 5 transactions. So we just disregard them. But we're still exploring. How aggressive do we want to filter wallet based on its available history? But at least 5 transactions. At least 5 is what we're seeing so far. That's what we want to do so far.
And I think there's another side of this question that potentially deals with refresh frequency and how real time the updates of these investor scores would be. So one of the things that we talk a lot about is chains such as like Solana, for example, that are producing incredibly high transaction volumes. There are technical challenges to be able to ingest those transactions in real time and reproduce model output again in real time. Obviously, that's accentuated based off of the number of transactions per second that a particular chain is capable of. But I think it'd be interesting for you to opine a bit on what our thoughts are about that kind of production deployment question. So, for example, is it reasonable to say that if a wallet has many years of history and tens of thousands of transactions, another several transactions that have occurred in a day are
perhaps not going to